Curtis, and thank you for joining me today. I've created this for my students in the graduate counseling program, but anybody else who benefits from it, thank you. Let me know with likes and subscribes, and also what else you would like to see. Working on a project now, and I'm going to try to get your feedback on it, but look through some of the previous videos. Feel free to comment. All right, termination in counseling and psychotherapy. The word termination has always been a little weird to me, but what we're talking about is when counseling is ending for a client. Now, for practicing professionals out there, this may not be as pertinent or relevant for what you need. A lot of times we have open door policies and people can come back when they need to. But for folks in practicum and internships, whether you're social work or counseling or psychology, marriage and family therapy, all the other helping behavioral health professions, this is what I teach for my students. So first, notify clients, whether you're working in a school or an agency, notify the client several sessions in advance that your last day will be on this week, okay? So whether it's December or May, so they know in advance that that's going to happen, and they're not surprised by you showing up for a session and that's the last session. Okay? In the last session, a lot of times this isn't a time to go into new material or to continue processing major issues. You can allot some time for that. And it can be that, hey, I'd like to spend at least 15 minutes at the end to summarize what your counseling experience has been like and what you'll take away. Thinking back on our time together in this professional counseling relationship, what is sticking with you? What has made the biggest impact? Make them aware, make clients aware that if you see them in public, that you won't speak first, because you don't want to put them in an odd position that if you're in the grocery store and you say hello and they're with their kids or their partner or a friend or whatever, and then they've got to explain who you are. And I realize that almost goes against human nature. We see somebody we know, we want to say hello. But this is a case for in the profession where we need to allow the client to decide whether they're going to speak to us or not. I have seen this was years ago, seen a counselor of mine in a public place, and they just kind of gave me a nod. Okay, so there wasn't a big thing, and that kind of worked. Okay. I like to make people aware that we may not work together ever again. We may not even see each other again, but I know that I'll think about them at times and I'll wish them well. Okay, and I think it's appropriate to do that, and I don't know that I've ever forgotten a client before. They just tend to pop up in the consciousness, and I always kind of have my little special thing where I send light and hope that they're doing well. So it's okay to make them aware of that. It can be helpful to have a memento that you leave a client with. Now, in practicum and internship, this can be something you create together. Some type of, focus card or dream card that you kind of, scrapbook together. And it's just something simple. This isn't an expensive or intensive, but just some symbols or images, from magazines you cut out to put on a little card or whatever. But it can be, and where you just kind of keep some stones or marbles or something as a signal that, hey, I just want you to have this to remember to be easy on yourself, to remember to breathe and be grounded when you need to dream. Just something physical, just some type of physical memento. And particularly in practicum internship, in professional private practice, maybe this isn't practiced as much. Always make sure that the client has referral and emergency numbers. So they're finishing counseling, but they need to know they can always get help if they need it. And then lastly, just that particularly if this isn't class and you are a professional practicing psychotherapist, that you've got an open door policy and that they can always reschedule and come back in if needed. And in kind of wellness counseling, I suspect this has increased, but it was that sessions, the average sessions for clients was about 4. Now, this isn't working with folks with disability and so forth, but that, kind of the worried well would come in for about 4 sessions, and then they'd get what they need, and then they would come back if they needed to, a year later or 6 months later. So just make people aware that you've got that policy. Okay, hope this is helpful. Hey, let's fill up YouTube with a lot of helpful stuff. Let's speak, post, and write about stuff we want, and maybe talk less about the stuff we don't want, and so that we can just fill up this world with health and healing and thriving. All right, good people, take care. Talk to you soon.